Joe Gibbs will be remembered as one of the greatest leaders in sports history. Winning 3 Super Bowls and a bust in the Pro Football Hall of Fame is impressive enough. But that's just part of his story. Since 1992, Gibbs has focused on NASCAR, and unsurprisingly, just like he did in the NFL, he's found tremendous success in motorsports to the tune of 5 Cup championships and induction into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2020. But the 81-year-old would be the first to tell you that it hasn't been easy. Adversity is part of any success journey. It's what builds character, and this year, Gibbs and his team have had plenty of character-building opportunities. The Kyle Busch contract drama has been front and center with the company for much of the year. Throughout the months-long process, Gibbs remained optimistic that JGR would re-sign the 2-time champion. However, that started to change toward the end when Gibbs admitted surprised that a deal hadn't been finalized.
Yeah, I am in a way. It's been hard. We've been working really hard to try and get things done, and it is hard, though. You got to put a lot in place to make things work out, and we're working as hard as we can. We're going after it in a number of different directions, and so yeah, I'm surprised at this point that we haven't been able to get that finished.
Gibbs has been very supportive of his driver through the years. Busch wouldn't have stayed 15 years if the owner didn't want him there and wasn't willing to accept his sometimes immature behavior. Winning certainly helps overlook some of the antics. There was one such incident earlier this year at Pocono when the Hall of Fame coach approached his driver on pit road in what turned out to be a rather awkward one-sided exchange where Busch effectively ignored Gibbs as he approached and walked by. Unsurprisingly, Busch caught plenty of flack for his actions. Now, with Busch a lame duck going to Richard Childress Racing in 2023, JGR has started to move on and refocus its efforts on those cars still in the playoffs. That was made clear last week when the organization announced the swapping of pit crews between Busch and Denny Hamlin. The first race where the 2 pit crews worked for their new teams was this past weekend at Texas. Busch's new crew didn't get much time to practice with its newly assigned driver because the number 18 car only made it through 48 laps before crashing and exiting early. Busch's departure allowed him to miss the chaos that followed. The other JGR drivers, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and Martin Truex Jr., were not as fortunate. Both Bell and Truex's races came to an end prematurely due to tire issues that would plague numerous teams. Hamlin avoided tire issues, but he didn't avoid trouble. That came in the final stage of the race, with 73 laps to go when he and William Byron were battling hard for second place behind race leader Truex. Coming out of turn 2, door-to-door with the number 24 on his outside, the exhaust pipe of the number 11 lit up with fire, indicating Hamlin was lifting off the gas as the cars moved up the track. The number 11 came up considerably short of the wall while Byron hit it. Immediately after contact, the HMS driver responded, driving his car hard into turn 3 and making it 3 wide with the JGR car on his inside and Austin Dillon on his outside. That move slowed both cars, allowing the number 3 to move into second place. 7 laps later, Truex became the latest victim of the tire debacle coming out of turn 4 when his right rear exploded and he went up into the outside wall. Within seconds of the spin, and with yellow lights already flashing, Byron pulled up behind Hamlin with payback on his mind and made contact with the rear of the number 11 and sent him sliding into the infield grass. For the next several minutes, talk over Hamlin's team radio was complete disbelief about what had just happened. Crew chief Chris Gabehart noted that it was just hard racing coming off turn 2, and Hamlin was even lifting off the gas. The driver grew increasingly frustrated when NASCAR denied his attempt to rejoin the field in the second position where he originally was when Byron wrecked him, and opted not to penalize the HMS car for its action. "I'll give him a penalty if he comes back to me," Hamlin said over the radio. Just over half an hour later, the longest ever race in Texas Motor Speedway history mercifully ended with Tyler Reddick the victor. Hamlin finished 10th, Byron finished 7th. After the race, reporters sought out both drivers to discuss what happened. However, right before the 3-time Daytona 500 winner began to talk with the media, something interesting happened when Joe Gibbs intervened, grabbed his driver, and pulled him aside for what appeared to be a one-sided conversation. One Toyota Racing representative standing nearby obviously didn't want the exchange to be filmed, as he casually walked in front to block the view of Gibbs and Hamlin's conversation. Moments later, Hamlin returned and visited with reporters and provided his side of the story. He was relatively calm in describing what had happened.
I got spun out under caution down the airfield.
And, I mean, there's no reason for it. I mean, and no reason for it or anything.
We got tight off the turn 2. We never made contact, but slowed both of our momentum, and that was it.
Do you understand NASCAR's reasoning not to put you back up there? I mean, obviously, it looked like the caution was out when you were hit, so it seems like it's kind of hard to maintain speed when you're getting bumped and sliding to the infield.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but I can't argue the rules with them inside the car, and the team did everything they could to try to make a case, but ultimately we went spinning through the infield under caution. Where do you go from here with Williams? I mean, I'm not really sure. We'll just have to race them hard.
Are you worried about the precedent this sets?
Well, I mean, are you talking about, like I mentioned on the radio, I should just get a teammate to knock out somebody under caution in the Final Four if we ever make it. But, I mean, certainly it's a precedent, but I don't think that NASCAR goes by precedents. I think they got to do it week to week and figure it out from there.
Did Gibbs tell Hamlin to watch what he said before his interviews? Did he have something he wanted to address with his driver that he had forgotten to ask him before? We'll never know the answers to the reason for the impromptu meeting. All we do know is it was such an uncomfortable moment that Toyota officials didn't want it captured on camera. If nothing else, what we do know is Joe Gibbs knows how to deal with adversity. He's done it for years. He had plenty of it late in the race with Denny Hamlin on Sunday night in the Lone Star State. And he obviously felt the need to address something specific surrounding the conflict just moments before his driver went public and talked about it with reporters.